and welcome. My name is Sandy Meyer. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve on your board of trustees. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We are looking forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join us for our in-person community time immediately following the service. Each week, we remind ourselves of this congregation's core values: connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. And one of the ways we live these core values is by welcoming all. Welcoming all means that we work together to foster a culture of radical hospitality. Here, in this community, we build relationships with people across the boundaries of race and class and other identities. Our March Faith in Action Spotlight is focusing on immigration and refugee justice issues, which is one of the ways all of us can embody welcoming all. We now have a brief auction announcement by John Sheese.
Good morning. My name is John Sheese, and as a newly minted member of the congregation, I'm grateful to be here, and I'm also grateful to be welcomed into the fellowship. I'm humbled today to stand in front of you to announce the kickoff of the 2024 auction. I'm excited that there are 117 offerings ranging from, well, I don't have enough time to tell you all the offerings. I will welcome you to work with anyone with a blue vest after service. And we're here to help you navigate the website and get in there and bid often. Thank you.
All right, we're so glad you're here today, and I invite you now to take a moment to greet one another.
Thank you. Good to have you here.
Thank you. I can get used to this.
That's right. It is a pretty good spot.
Thank you.
Greetings. Greetings, Sandy.
Thanks, John. Our chalice lighter today is Danny. Danny likes birds and dinosaurs and rocks and minerals. I invite you to join with me in the words of our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
The opening words are from Arlen Goff. Thresholds. We cross them every day from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross the threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time, attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life, pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed in this moment? How will we be transformed through gathering in this beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsting souls, whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey or in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. I'm Reverend Roger, and my pronouns are he, him. Our opening song today is Freedom is Coming. That's number 1035 in the smaller teal hymnal. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
Good morning. You don't need your hymnals. Please get rid of them. This is a South African freedom song. It is a call and a response. I will call. Hopefully you will respond. When you respond, it may not be what you see in the hymnal, so just put it down. So I'll sing "Oh Freedom," and you'll sing "Freedom is Coming, Freedom is Coming, Freedom is Coming, oh yes I know." Can you? Freedom is coming. Wait a minute, is that the key that we changed to? Thank you. So I'll say, "Oh freedom," and you'll say, "Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know." Good. And then when I say, "Oh yes I know," you say, "Oh yes I know, oh yes I know, oh yes I know, oh yes I know, oh yes I know." Right? All right, got it. You guys sound amazing. And you can do harmony if you want to. Freedom is coming, or whatever you want. All right, here we go.
Please now rise, once I get the microphone, and join in the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, and quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus we covenant with each other and with God.
My name is Jay Cohen. I'm a member of the spiritual care team. We always say that this is the church of the open mind and the loving hearts and the helping hands, and one of the ways we embody that is by sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives. If you would ever like for one of your joys or milestones or celebrations or sorrows or challenges to be shared from the pulpit, you can write it in the book. There's a binder outside the sanctuary before the service, or you can email at any time to spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. Also, please know that the spiritual care team is always here to talk and to listen if there's ever a joy or sorrow you would like to talk about. You can reach us at that same address. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared this week. First, we have a birthday in the house. Charles Maynard is 8 years old, so happy birthday, Charles. Colleen and Glenn have a great joy. At 3 a.m. this morning, their new grandson was born. His name is Mason, and he's 9 pounds 6 ounces, and mom and baby are both doing well. One more joy. After 12 days of hospitalization, Angela Romito was discharged, and she's doing well. She's beyond grateful to be reunited with her daughter, and she's happy to make it to the other side of this terrifying time in the hospital. We have one sorrow. Sandy Meyer, who was just up at the pulpit, her brother-in-law passed away this week, Wayne Meyer. He was survived by his wife Loretta, and Wayne and Loretta had just celebrated 65 years of marriage. So our condolences and love go out to the whole Meyer family. I'm sure there are many other joys and sorrows that we're carrying on our hearts, so each week we offer an opportunity, if you would like to honor one of your joys and sorrows, to put a stone into the water, and then that water sort of represents our community, and it's held together in love. So if you would like to do that, there are stations right here on the floor, in the 2 corners back there, and then down in the cloister. And the way we'll do that is we're going to do that in complete silence. And then after that, there'll be a prayer. And then after the prayer, we'll sing Spirit of Life. So let us begin.
Our prayer today is adapted from Andrea Hawkins Camper and comes in the form of a blessing. Let us unite our hearts and minds in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space and time today. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcast, the travelers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors. Blessed are we, the transgender, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we, for this is our beloved community, and this is who we are. Whatever we hold tenderly in our hearts and minds and spirits today, may we know that we are blessed and we are loved. Amen. Blessed be. If you are someone who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. I have a book today called The Day You Begin. It's by Jacqueline Woodson. And I invite you to think about a time when you went into a room or to a place or to a group of people where you didn't know anybody and you had to begin. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says, so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller, when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." "We went to France," Chayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells, so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina, each souvenir a small triumph of a journey, their travels going on and on." Eamon, you want to sit down, love? Thank you. As you stand in the front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen to sleep. And in that room where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and the kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the whole world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. "I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later." There will be times when the world feels like a place that you are standing all the way outside of, and all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you are ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. "My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister," you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. "Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere." "Your name is like my sister's," Rigoberto says. "Her name is Angelina too." And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. The end. All right, let's go to Unity House.
Let's go, 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 go.
Buenos dias. I'm here to introduce Carmen Bucay, who is an asylum seeker from Ecuador, who's going to share a tiny bit of her story with you now. And I met Carmen at the Migrant Ministries at Centro San Edmundo, where some of us volunteer at St. Edmunds here in Oak Park. And I also want to introduce Ana Bermudez Alonso, who is from Mexico, and she's going to translate for Carmen. As I said, Carmen will share very briefly now a little piece of her story, and she will share her longer story at 11:15 at Gale House right after the service. So I invite all of you, please, to come to Gale House after the service.
Buenos días, soy de Ecuador. Voy a contar un poco de mi vida.
Good morning, I'm from Ecuador and I'm going to tell you guys a little about my life.
Tuve dos hijos. En el 2014 mataron a mi primer hijo.
I have two sons. In 2014, they murdered my firstborn.
Por pandillas, por
It was due to gang-related violence in the neighborhood.
Mi hijo tenía 22 años, pues acababa de tener un niño, apenas tenía un mes, lo mataron.
My son had just had a son himself who was 1 month old when he was murdered.
Pues nosotros lo criamos al niño y pues tuvimos que irnos a otro lugar a vivir.
So we raised him, and after the murderer was apprehended, he was released and he was threatening us, so we had to move.
Pues bueno, pues recibimos, o sea, yo me quedé mal, yo no quería ya vivir, o sea, quería morir con mi hijo.
I didn't want to live anymore. I wanted to die with my son.
Pero me dijeron que tengo mi otro hijo y que me necesitan.
But I have another son who needs me.
Bueno, comenzamos a otro sitio pues a vivir y estábamos, o sea, ahí bien se decía, pero a este muchacho que le mató a mi hijo le dieron 10 años.
So we moved to another place. They gave the murderer 10 years.
Pues entonces ya el muchacho ya salió y pues comenzó las amenazas.
When he was released, the threats began.
Recibíamos amenazas por teléfono y también ya rondaban nuestra casa.
We received threats over the phone and around the area that we lived.
Tuve tanto miedo que no quería otra vez perder a mis seres queridos.
I was terrified and I didn't want to lose any one of my loved ones again.
Pues decidimos emigrar acá a Estados Unidos.
So we decided to migrate to the United States.
No fue fácil.
It was not easy.
Pues hubo tanto sufrimiento.
There was a lot of suffering.
Nos robaron.
They stole from us.
Y pues ya llegamos acá a las fronteras, era como ya yo me sentía un poco tranquila porque o sea, era la única manera de salvar a mi familia.
Once we crossed into the United States, after 3,000 miles of journey, I finally was able to relax a bit because I knew my family was finally safe.
Oh, sí. Entonces, pues, cuando llegamos a migración, pues nos separaron a todos. Y mi nieto, porque yo lo crié a él, pues yo lo vine trayendo. Y pues me lo quitaron a mi nieto porque no lleva el apellido de nosotros.
Because I don't share my grandson's last name, he was taken from us once we crossed into the United States, and we were separated.
Pues hice todo lo posible porque no quería perderlo y pues nos hicieron la prueba de ADN y pues vieron que yo soy abuela y me lo dieron.
I did everything I could to get him back. It was a very desperate time for me. Finally, after a DNA test, we were able to be reunited.
No conocía acá a la iglesia San Edmundo donde ayudaban, pues ahora conozco y pues estoy un poco tranquila, converso y estoy así, o sea, estamos también, queremos un abogado que nos ayuden a pedir el asilo.
Now we're trying to settle into our life and we are having trouble finding an attorney that can help us apply for asylum.
Para poder estar aquí y que no nos regresen a mi país.
So that we can stay here and they don't support us.
Eso. Y también, sí, estoy tranquila aquí ya con mi familia también.
I finally feel safe here with my family.
Queremos que, hablar con un abogado y pues que nos den el permiso de trabajo y poder trabajar y pues tener una casa donde vivir.
Our dream is to be able to work legally here, earn money, and have a place to live.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias. Thank you, Carmen. We're grateful to hear your story. And we have an opportunity to act on that and other similar stories. Thank you, Anna, too, for translating. So each week in the time of offering, we split the offering evenly between the programs and mission of Unity Temple and something beyond our walls. This week and in coming weeks, the other half will go to the West Suburban Migrant Resettlement Fund. This fund is part of the community-driven volunteer effort seeking to connect asylum seekers such as Carmen, currently in Oak Park in this area, to safe and secure long-term housing. The community of congregations of which Unity Temple is a member is the fiscal agent for this fund. So our immigration justice team chose this fund to be the recipient, and I'm grateful for their hearing this call to action. I do encourage everybody who is interested to go hear more of Carmen's story at Gale House, which is right next door to Unity Temple, starting at 11:15, as Madonna said. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
Thanks. Good morning again. My name is Amanda Thomas. I'm a member of this congregation and also the choir director at DuPage Unitarian Church. These wise women have been amazing to sing with. This particular piece that we're doing now says that Sybil Madison is the soloist. However, she is on a plane on her way home from Paris right now. So she will not be singing the solo this morning. We have a new soloist, and it's Courtney, what's your last name? Fontaine, I'm sorry. So here we go.
While I was studying in Sri Lanka, which is the little island nation off India's southeast corner, my group of students went to visit a Hindu temple that was dedicated to Katragama, one of Shiva's two sons. Often Kartikeya is a more familiar name. Katragama is a local name for this god who is the son of Shiva. This temple is one of the most sacred sites for Hindus in Sri Lanka, and making a pilgrimage to Katragama can be a life-changing experience. Well, like many pilgrimage sites, there is a physical separation between that pilgrimage complex and the surrounding land. In this case, it is a river. Many pilgrims wade through the river to get to the temple grounds rather than going over the bridge. The river is seen as a sort of cleansing, preparing the pilgrim for this holy ground. Once across the river, then the pilgrims enter into the sacred grounds of the temple. The journey from home to the point of the river represents the first of three stages of pilgrimage, as talked about by the anthropologist Victor Turner. This first stage is called separation. The pilgrim leaves home, family, work, everything that they know in their everyday, ordinary life. They travel someplace that is different, strange, other. And in this case, they cross a river, which is the last step of that separation. Turner called the second stage of pilgrimage the liminal stage. In the Katragama pilgrimage, the liminal stage is the time that the pilgrim spends in the temple complex. For many pilgrims, that liminal space feels like a new and sometimes bewildering world. Because it is foreign to their everyday experience, it can feel wild and disorienting and even dangerous. But it can also feel full of opportunities for growth and insight. It is in the wilds, in the unfamiliar, that we sometimes have our greatest opportunities for growth and insight. We can sometimes see ourselves with fresh eyes. There can be a reorienting of our understandings, our values, even our mission in life. Well, while we were walking through this sacred ground at Katragama, we came upon a woman who was dancing wildly. She appeared not to be in control of her movements. I have never seen anything like it before or since. Our Sri Lankan professor explained to us that she was in a state of possession, that she was experiencing the god Katragama inhabiting her body. No one tried to stop to protect her. For her companions and for her, this was a moment of ultimate proximity to the divine, especially for her. This kind of ecstatic religious experience can have a life-changing impact. We have no idea what happened with this woman after that moment, but it's quite possible that from later vantage points, she could look back at her life and say, there was a before that experience and an after. Victor Turner called the final stage of pilgrimage return or reincorporation. In this phase, the pilgrim crosses back over that threshold and returns home. And so at this particular pilgrimage site, that meant either going through or over the river in the journey home. If a pilgrimage moves your spirit, you can return home with new insights, new understandings. You can return home a changed person. When you get home, you may see it in the world of your everyday life with different eyes through the experience of a changed soul. Nelson Mandela, who was no stranger to pilgrimage, put it this way: there is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find out ways in which you yourself have altered. In some cases, of course, we do not physically return to that same home. We literally sometimes travel somewhere else where we stay. We heard this in Carmen's story this morning. Other examples are where you go someplace distant to college, or you move someplace because of work or relationships or whatever. Whatever the reason, whether that move is traumatic or not, you are likely to have to do some adaptation and change. We can also take pilgrimages right here internally. Sometimes we don't have to physically move at all. I think, for example, about the grief process. When we journey through grief after the death of a loved one or the end of a cherished relationship, for example, we can find ourselves unmoored from our old life. We can find ourselves in internal terrain that feels dangerous and wild. Grief is often a kind of liminal experience. Eventually, and let's be clear that there's no standard amount of time against which we should judge ourselves or others, eventually we may emerge from grief with a new sense of ourself, a new sense of our place in the world. Through pilgrimage journeys, a person can change in deep and fundamental ways. So a word for this is transformation, and that's our worship and learning theme for this month. Transformation happens when we experience such a fundamental change that we see ourselves and our place in the world differently. One thing we know about life is that change is fundamental to it. And as much as many of us like things the way they are, sometimes we don't even like them that much, but they're familiar, so we like them. The fact is, nothing ever stays the same. And given this reality, it makes sense to embrace wanted and even unwanted opportunities for transformation. Transformation doesn't just happen to individuals, it can happen for communities as well. The proposed reformulation of the principles and purposes of the Unitarian Universalist Association uplifts transformation as one of our faith's core values. That kind of fits here at Unity Temple, where transformation is one of the core values affirmed here. The inclusion of transformation calls us, in these lists of core values, calls us as a covenantal community of American Unitarian Universalists, as a covenantal congregation here in Oak Park, to adapt to the changing world, to transform ourselves in how we understand the world and how we ethically act in the world, to help transform the world itself. So this congregation continues to be in a liminal state. The pandemic threw virtually every congregation into liminal space, a space of danger and opportunity. The liminality was compounded here with the departure of your longtime senior minister. My being here as a developmental minister continues this liminal time of transition. I am here for a finite period during which the work of rebuilding this congregation for this new age continues. Our charge is to make the most of this opportunity, unwelcome as it might have been to some of you who loved the congregation exactly the way it was pre-pandemic and before the departure of Reverend Allen. Regardless of how you felt about Allen's departure or whether you're even here then, you and I have an amazing opportunity to be part of this congregation's transformation into something new. So the threshold that Unity Temple UU congregation crossed into this liminal space was not clear, not real definite, not like wading across a river. You know, we remember those murmurings in January of 2020 about people getting sick in Wuhan, and then more people getting sick in China, and then people getting sick on this continent in places like Seattle, but we had little clue about what lay ahead. Few of us would have guessed when Unity Temple locked down that it would be for the better part of 2 years. And neither would most of you imagine how much would change in the congregation over that time. And the threshold ahead is not exactly clear either. We don't know when that threshold will be crossed or exactly what this new Unity Temple for a New Era will look like. We do know that around the time that threshold is crossed, I'll be leaving when the congregation has completed enough of its developmental work to be ready for that new era with a new settled minister in the lead minister. Then the board and I will know it's time for me to move on. We're guessing that that's maybe 3.5 to 6.5 years from now. Each year around this time of year, we'll have a conversation. How are we doing? Where are we in this? Do we have a beginning, clearer picture about when that end point will be? Each year, that picture will get a little clearer. And then you will cross that threshold out of the liminal space that you will have been in for a long time into a new exciting era. And I'll be watching from afar as that unfolds. Well, there's another word that has occurred to me for this kind of transformative work, and that's recombobulation. It's a word that I've used in my interim ministries. And so you might want to think about using this word. I love this sign. It is over the area in Concourse C, just past security, at the Milwaukee airport. So you know that's the area where you have to reassemble after everything's been sort of torn asunder with maybe your shoes off and your belt off and your luggage here and there, your carry-on stuff. And you have that area where you get things back in order. It is truly liminal space. You reorient yourself so we can think of this work that we're doing together as recombobulation. And if you don't like the word transformation because it seems a little highfalutin, maybe use recombobulation. I'll end with there are 3 spiritual practices that I think help us in all sorts of liminal space. The first is the practice of welcome. Spiritually grounded people are able to welcome whatever comes their way. This doesn't mean we always like or appreciate what comes our way. We don't do a dance of joy when a loved one dies or we get a very serious diagnosis of a health problem. But we can welcome the new reality into our lives. We can make space for it. We can accommodate it. Rather than denying it, we can say, here, have a seat. Have a seat because you're here and you're going to be part of my life. And we can welcome with that whatever feelings come. A second practice is to practice faith in the unknown future that lies ahead when we cross that threshold at the end of this liminal time. And third, we can keep on, let me just say a point about that, faith in the unknown future, about Unity Temple. One of the pure spiritual practices that we can all share in is having faith in the future of Unity Temple, that it's going to be a great future, even though we don't know quite what it's going to look like. We can cultivate that faith in the congregation and its future. And then the third practice is to keep on loving the world even as it is, even with challenges that we wish weren't there. And maybe this is the ultimate spiritual challenge that in this world that is forever changing as we pass from threshold through fresh threshold across threshold. This is the wise lesson in a brilliant 15-word poem by Gary Snyder called On Climbing the Matterhorn 31 Years Later. Range after range of mountains, year after year after year, I am still in love. 15 words. Range after range of mountains, year after year after year, I am still in love. This is how I strive to live in the world, not perfectly. Crossing threshold after threshold, year after year after year, I want to still be in love with the world, right up to that last breath I take. Not sure what that is. Okay, we'll go on. Our closing hymn is 295, Sing Praises for the Journey. It's one of my favorites. The lyrics are by Mark DeWolf, who's there we go, maybe? Who was a generous, brilliant, creative hurricane of a person. He died of AIDS in 1988. This is part of his legacy. We'll try to ignore that and rise in body and spirit and join in singing hymn number 295 in the larger hymnal. Closing words come from Adrienne Maree Brown. Liberation awaits us down deep inside where tomorrow bursts forth. Trust. Let's join in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.